It's time to get ready for the Heart Walk.
So AT&T is really excited to have participated and still being active in the 2020 Heart Walk campaign. Was a galvanizing point for us, and it was one of the bright spots of the year and brought us closer together even though we were socially distancing.
This year's walk was definitely different and in a really good way. I have members of this team from all over the U.S. We have Seattle to North Carolina this year, so it's been really fun to challenge each other. I love to remind people that just because the walk is over doesn't mean that the fundraising efforts have to be. Each time I share a post on social media, somebody makes a contribution to the American Heart Association.
We did the in-store campaign last month, and as a whole, we did over $550,000 in retail, in-home, and we're continuing our donations through online. So what we're doing in October is every Wednesday, we're gonna walk out Wednesday and do some virtual with our teams, get active and, have fun with it.
Our team wasn't just here locally this year. Our team was everywhere from Hawaii to Canada. Me and my wife got to walk together and we got to talk about our why. And our why is her father, who passed away before our children could even be born. We got to enjoy and talk about him. And at the end of our walk, we got to see a rainbow. It was just appeared above us. Spending time together talking about our why was the amazing part of our walk.
It has been a great experience, and our local AT&T employees have such a great can-do attitude. We've actually made our goal for the year, which the experience has been so phenomenal. And have just brought more value to our employees so that they understand how important heart health is.
So being the fact that we're virtual this year helped us as an organization, as a team, to reach out to all the folks in the other cities. You were able to join a lot of people that you normally don't get to walk with. So it was nice to have my family there and my husband and my kids, my dogs.
Welcome to the American Heart Association's first ever National Spring Heart Walk Kickoff. I'm Michael Privet, your host for today, and I'm honored to be here with you live from my home base in Atlanta as we kick off our 2021 Heart Walk experience. You just heard from our friends at AT&T, who between the months of March and November, not the funnest months you might remember, last year banded together as a national team and raised, get ready, $2 million for the American Heart Association. That's more than $500,000 over what they raised in the previous year. Really incredible. They participated in 75 digital walks. They had 433 teams, and get this, 4,000 walkers registered and participating. And of course, as you heard in the video, they engaged their customers by asking them to make a donation too. What they found is what we always find. People wanted to be involved and support the mission of the American Heart Association. As we kick off 2021, our friends at AT&T definitely said it best. It's time to get ready for the Heart Walk. And that's why we've invited you and your fellow company leaders, coaches, and top walkers from across the country to hear stories of success from your peers. Take a moment to drop in the chat what city you're joining us from and what you love about the Heart Walk. We're excited to gather this group for the first time leading into the start of American Heart Month, which of course starts next week on Monday, February 1st. In addition to hearing from your peers, you're also getting a front row seat to our very first ever National Heart Walk fashion show, highlighting some of the new hero gear available in the new Heart Walk Reward Center. I'm wearing a few pieces myself today. You'll also learn about our new Move More Challenge and Activity Tracker. This is so cool. It's available in your Heart Walk app, and together we're going to get 1 million people moving in 2021. Our hope is today's program will continue to energize your efforts to rally your families, supporters, companies, and communities around the work of the American Heart Association. This past year, our Heart Walk community, that's all of you, came together like never before, raising $84 million. Wow. That's pretty incredible. Every dollar you helped raise is absolutely critical in carrying our mission forward in communities, including funding new COVID research, ending tobacco use and vaping, reducing blood pressure, and increasing nutrition security. You found new ways to stay connected, and you carried forward in your personal commitment to protect hearts and save lives. Our Heart Walk events happen nearly every month of the year. This spring, we have campaigns that start in early February, such as Victoria, Texas, with other cities running into June, like our friends in Wichita, Kansas. The one thing that all our campaigns have in common is great volunteers like you. We would not be able to do this work without the commitment of our volunteers. So, as we get ready to dive into our program, let me start by saying thank you. But now it's time for us to get the party started. Before we hear from our first guest, we've got an AHA first for you, and that's our National Heart Walk Hero Fashion Show, National Hero Gear Fashion Show. Everything you'll see in today's fashion show is part of our 2021 Heart Walk Hero Gear collection, because every hero needs some cool gear. Once again, we asked you to vote for your favorite t-shirt design. So, are you ready to see what we selected? Kicking off our fashion show will be Glenn, a survivor from Oklahoma who has been involved in the Heart Walk for 10 years. Siobhan, a healthcare worker from Tacoma who serves as a Heart Walk coach in her community. And Hadley, a congenital heart defect survivor and heart hero who will be walking with her mom, Kelly. Get ready. There's a reason that Hadley's going to be Low Country Heart Walk's Little Heart Queen this year. Let's roll it.
A lot of co-workers here today jealous of my shirt and vest, so I've been flossing today.
That's pretty good.
I love it. Wow. All of the models looked great. Some of them may be able to quit their day jobs after that debut today. Everyone looked so good in their Heart Walk gear, but their smiles and energy definitely stole the spotlight. Thank you to our models, Glenn, Siobhan, and our duo of Hadley and her mom, Kelly. You all looked fabulous. Your fundraising not only makes you a heart hero, it also earns you points in your personal reward center. That's where you can redeem your very own Heart Walk Hero gear. You'll find all of these items in your Heart Walk headquarters, which opens up to you after you register for your local Heart Walk. Just click on the Rewards Center button at the top. In the app, you'll click the gear icon at the top. You'll find the link to the Rewards Center at the top of your settings list. So take a look at the settings and look around, view all the items that you might be interested in, achieve your fundraising milestone, and it's yours. It's that easy. It's our way of saying thank you. And it's a great way for you to model your support for heart and brain health all year long. Now, it's time to hear from our featured guest, Starting with our friends at GE. In the fall, GE recruited 15 coaches to lead their teams, and they set a $30,000 fundraising goal in total. Get ready for this. They recruited 200 walkers and raised more than $50,000. Just incredible. Now, joining us live from Milwaukee, we've got GE's company leaders. Ashutosh Banerjee, Global General Manager of Cardiology Solutions and Diagnostic Cardiology, and Finance Executive, John Kolka. Welcome, gentlemen, and thank you both for joining us.
Thank you, Michael. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to have you both. Ashutosh, let's start with you. The first question is to you. Your Heart Walk campaign within GE just completed, and with pretty impressive record results, far surpassing your original goal of $30,000, more than $50,000, as I just shared. As the company leader, tell us what worked for your company's efforts in forming teams and just your overall campaign approach.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Now, that's a very interesting question because it makes us reflect back. So when we started out, as you said in your opening, it was the times with COVID. So we were obviously all working from home and we were all virtual. So we thought about how we maximize sort of our situation and sort of make the best use of it. So we thought, some of the basic principles that go back to how human beings are will always work. So we thought about relationships and making connections. So what we said is, why are we limited to just being in the Milwaukee area? So we said, let's go and open it out to everybody who is in the US. We said, let's not maybe go to Europe and Asia and all that, because there might be time zone constraints that we have to overcome and take care of. But we opened it up to everybody on the team. And we got a phenomenal result. We actually, we had people from, all over the place, from Carolina, from the West Coast, and they all have been contributing and walking. It was a phenomenal way of just thinking a little bit differently and just focusing on relationships and making the connection. I have a long career history in sales, so I am very competitive. I would say that. So we thought about, why don't we maybe do that a little bit? So with relationships, we actually recruited and thought about who is the right coach to really take this team forward. And you'll hear from John, who's our star coach, who helped us spearhead these efforts. And we sort of created a little bit of friendly competition amongst our coaches. We just sort of fed them information about how they are doing versus the other coaches, and no pressure, but just see where you are on the leaderboard, right? So some of these things help, and the coaches did a fantastic job of not just looking at where we are and thinking of the purpose behind it. Purpose really matters, right? We are not doing this just to look good on a leaderboard. We are doing this to really take care of people with heart disease, which is the core job that we do. And in my day job, I look at cardiology, it's really close to my heart, no pun intended, but we all really, live and work for clinicians and to help them save lives, right? So that purpose resonated with our coaches. They use that to really rally people around using connections. And the last thing that really helped is communicating and making sure we all stay connected. We are all virtual. So we actually set, I think it was a weekly call that me and my co-executive champion, we sort of had with all our coaches, just, to get together and ask them how they're doing and are they facing any challenges. In the beginning, the calls were a bit awkward because we wouldn't know what to say. But over a period of time, we figured out that the coaches themselves would solve the problems other coaches are having. So one coach would raise a problem and another coach would say, hey, I did it this way and this helped me. So that communication and connection that we created as a virtual community helped us rally people towards our goal. And I think those were some of the ways in which we really stayed close. I love what was said in the AT&T video, that it helped us stay close as a community, even though we were apart, right? And nothing exemplified that better than what we did in GE, because we had people, you said we had 200, we actually had 201, competition, a little bit. So we had so many walkers around the country. We eventually also had walkers from Europe joining us, virtually. So that really helped us. Everybody going towards one goal, we connected on the purpose.
I love that. It's so powerful that in a time when it would have been easy to focus on all the negativity, the things separating us, you all saw this as a real opportunity to bring the company together in a powerful way that maybe but for this moment wouldn't have been possible. It's just really incredible. Ashutosh, I wonder, thinking about more about your campaign and how it helped bring your employees together while not being in the office. I know that just the health messaging behind this was important. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a good question, and we realized that while people were working from home, sometimes the need to exercise and stay healthy takes a backseat, right? Because you are so caught up in your day and with managing, your home, your children who are also at home from school, and you have to manage everything, juggle everything, right? So this campaign of ours helped us just get people moving. Yeah. We supplemented our communication with a little bit of nuggets of information from clinicians around the world on heart health issues. We use that to say, hey, what's stopping you from going out there and just going for a walk? It also helped that we did that during the summer where, especially in Wisconsin, the weather was better. You could go out and go for a walk. Yeah. But it helped us to reinforce the message that we need to take care of the world's health problems, but start with your own. And, I also have this, I consider myself really focused on fitness. So it helped me also, overcome any excuses I have. What is my excuse to not go out there and run and go for a walk? So it brought home the fact that keeping healthy is so important. And not just because of us, for our families and for the work we do. We can't do our work if we are not healthy.
Yeah, so true. John, I want to come to you. We've seen with our coaches and top walkers that the AHA mission is usually very personal. Certainly we think about this as corporate wellness effort, but at the end of the day, so many of us have a personal story and connection. Would you mind sharing why you're so committed to the Heart Walk?
Yeah, of course, Michael. Thank you. Yeah. Heart Walk is very personal to me. I come from a family with a long history of heart disease, mostly on my father's side. Each one of his siblings has had either heart attack, angioplasty, bypass surgery, or some combination of multiple. A few years ago, we lost one of my aunts to congestive heart failure. And I believe one of my uncles may actually be a record holder for a number of angioplasties at the UW Health System. So my parents have always been the first on the list to join the team where I've been the coach of the Heart Walk. Unfortunately in 2020, my father passed away from congestive heart failure. Having it be more personal this year really led me to set the sights bigger for our team. And honestly, just incredibly meaningful for how people rallied behind and supported me and this cause.
Yeah. John, I know I speak for everyone in the Heart Association family when we say we're sorry for your loss. It is those losses that we carry with us in doing this, raising the funds and knowing that we're going to build a healthier world, a lot less early goodbyes. So thank you for that. John, while this cause is deeply personal to you, you've also found a way to rally your team with some extremely creative incentives over the past 3 years. So let's talk about that. How have those challenges helped contribute to the success you've had with your team at GE and even your personal fundraising?
Yeah, of course. So I found, with fundraising, like you mentioned, I've done it for 3 years. There's 3 things that I do. One is I make it personal. Second is turning it into the competition that Ashutosh mentioned. And then finally, just sending emails and asking people for money just is not terribly effective. The third thing I did was get this buy-in from our senior executives, including our CFO, and brought them into the mix. 3 years ago, I ran a perm contest for one of my managers at the time and used that person's network to raise a fair amount of money, but they set that bar so incredibly high that we didn't see the perm. The following year, we signed up multiple senior executives who were willing to take pies in the face if we raised enough money. I think we set the goal at like $10,000. The CFO didn't sign up, but he agreed to match funds so that to make sure his staff had to follow through on this. I would send out videos of me and my kids making pie in the face tutorials to help rally the funds. Now, side note, we can only have whipped cream in the house when it's Heart Walk time. This past year, I decided I would offer up my hair to the cause. I hadn't had a haircut in 6 months due to COVID, and had done a fundraiser many years back for Toys for Tots, so I had pictures to give folks a preview of what that might look like. Again, we set milestone goals where senior executives would once again take pies in the face for a certain amount. Other senior leaders outside of our finance team heard about what we were doing and signed up to shave their heads if we hit our goal. And if the team had $20,000, I said I would get a perm and I would keep it for a week. The finance team in GE Healthcare is not terribly large, but they are extremely generous. In addition to the videos of me and my kids taking pies to the face to rally the team, I signed up my mom and my sister, who also posted videos to Facebook, which brought even more donations from friends and families. When it was over, we ended up with $22,000 this year. And I kept the perm for a couple of weeks because I know it's the last my wife is going to let me get.
That's awesome.
One last unique thing that we had was Fleet Farm, a large corporate sponsor in 2020. They offered $25 gift cards to coaches for every 10 walkers they signed up. And so I used those gift cards as a raffle item for folks who signed up for our team, and then held a drawing at the end for all of those gift cards. And instead of a blindfold, you can guess, my son took a pie in the face and drew the winning names. So, the success, honestly, it comes from making it fun and making it more personal.
Yeah. Did you give the perm to yourself?
No, I have a
professional.
Family members, yeah, exactly. You don't do. No,
that's uncharted territory. That's really, really impressive, John. This last question is for the both of you. I'd love for you to share with us what HeartWalk resources you found to be the most helpful with your own fundraising, and how you worked with your coaches across the company and their walkers and the walkers within your team. So maybe Ashutosh, would you mind going first?
Sure. No, there were a few resources we used, and especially I would say Megan from the HeartWalk headquarters here in Wisconsin, she was really helpful. She and her team behind the scenes would send us, detailed reports of how we are doing, and also help us in all the coordination. If we have a challenge getting a coach onboarded, etc. There were so many things that came up. We had no clue when we started out how we are going to work this, but they really helped us and held our hands. So that was really helpful. Then the HeartWalk app itself and the online resources. For example, there was this email template tool. It's a small thing, but the email template tool pulls up the previous year's people who donated. You can actually send them a templatized email. That was really helpful because some of the coaches were new and they didn't have a history from previous. So they could actually pull up previous years and they could send out emails and have a sort of like a template they could use to send out. So I think those were some of the things that were really helpful.
Yeah.
And also, we really connected well across the organization. So that was good.
Yeah. John, what would you add?
I agree with Ashutosh. The support that we received from the American Heart Association with the HeartWalk was critical. The app works seamlessly. The ability to post it to social media and Facebook works very well. And then the dashboards, being able to go out there just was a competition within the company. So great support makes it a lot easier to do.
Yeah. Well, I hope everyone who is tuning in today has jotted down all your secrets to success. Thank you both for GE's support of the HeartWalk. I promise we're inspired by your recruitment of so many engaged coaches across the company, especially in these difficult times, how you've worked together to impact the mission of the AHA. And Ashutosh and John, we will all be cheering you on later this year when you kick off your HeartWalk campaign. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now it is time for round 2 of the Heart Hero Gear Fashion Show. Joining us will be Orlando, a nurse and founder of a community CPR training group in Pennsylvania. Deborah is a survivor from St. Louis and a 2019 National Go Red for Women spokesperson. AJ is a congenital heart defect survivor and a top walker out of St. Louis. And rounding out the group is Sheila, a community team leader in Tulsa who has raised, get this, over $100,000 over the last 6 years. So, wow, let's see it. thank you to our models. They make it look easy. Trust me, it's not. Just posing in front of the camera like that can be pretty tough. So thank you to all of our models. I think Mark Jacobs said it best, clothes mean nothing until someone lives in them. And you can bring these clothes to life in the Heart Walk Reward Center, and they can be free as your fundraising success grows. The beat goes on with each of you. So before we hear from our next guest, take a moment to share in the chat why you support the American Heart Association or who you walk in honor of. Now we're heading north on I-95 to Baltimore to hear from coach and top walker Megan Rosbach. Megan is a powerhouse marketer for Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Center and has raised more than $26,000 these past 2 years. We can't wait to hear some of her secrets. Megan, welcome.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you with us, Megan. I think we have all been impacted one way or another by heart disease or stroke. Would you mind sharing why you are involved with the AHA?
Sure. As you said, we've all been impacted by heart disease and stroke, and my family is no different. We decided as a family about 5 years ago that we were going to do the Greater Maryland Heart Walk in honor of my grandparents. My grandfather had his very first stroke at the age of 47, and my grandmother had heart disease pretty much all of her adult life, leading to a valve replacement. Unfortunately, the year we decided to do the Heart Walk, my grandfather ended up passing away from a massive stroke, but we continued to do it in his memory instead of in his honor. And we also did it for the survivors, the heart survivors in my family. 2 of my uncles actually went for routine medical exams and learned that they had blockages or a massive heart attack and didn't know about it. So it just became more and more personal. We started doing some digging in my family history that everybody is touched by this. So it was very easy to support the mission and support the cause of the American Heart Association.
I appreciate you sharing that, Megan. I can relate. My own grandparents had heart disease, and it's funny, as I get older, they seem so young now when I think back when they were having these events. And of course, when you're little, you think of your grandparents as old. And so it's remarkable to see the impact on lives and how many stories that you and I share with so many out there. Thank you for sharing, Megan. And working in a hospital system during the pandemic, it didn't slow you down this year. Still, you managed to raise $12,000 with your team while working from home for the most part. What was your secret?
We actually went into this fundraising year with some low expectations, knowing that the pandemic was going to present some problems. So I didn't put any pressure on my team like I've done in previous years. I find it's very important to personalize your fundraising page, to let people know what your connection is to the American Heart Association, how you've been impacted, because it tugs at the heartstrings a little bit and lets people know why you're doing this and why it's so important to you. So having that personalized page really touches the heart and it impacts people and makes people more willing to donate. I have a 3.5-year-old daughter, and I actually created a fundraising page for her as well, and personalized it as if she wrote it. And she actually got a lot of donations just because she was asking for some funds. And of course, no one can say no to a 3.5-year-old. One thing I found successful this year was fundraising through Facebook, which I had never done in the past before. And the American Heart Association made it so easy through the fundraising page just to automatically link my page to Facebook. I got donations from people that I never would have imagined would donate to my campaign, from as little as $5 to as much as $150. And it was really touching to see the amount of people I was able to reach versus in previous years where I would just send personalized emails to friends and family members or coworkers who had donated to me in the past, and I knew I could rely on them for donations. So being able to cast this wide net through Facebook really was incredible this year. And my team was able to use it as well. And they were surprised at the amount of people that they heard from through just Facebook fundraising.
Yeah, I love that. So customizing your page, utilizing all of those incredible digital tools and resources that are available. It's amazing what a difference that can make, particularly that online fundraising. And truly the power of storytelling really does translate to friends and colleagues online, just knowing those personal connections. Can you tell us as a coach about your top walkers and how you coach them?
Sure. As I said in the beginning, we walked initially for my grandparents and then other family members who were impacted by heart disease. So I recruited a lot of family members. Our first year, we had about 10 walkers. The most we ever had was 17 last year. And it went beyond family to family members reaching out to friends who had been impacted by heart disease and stroke. So we reached out to people who would be motivated to share their story and let people know how their lives have been impacted. And from there, it was kind of easy to do the ask for donations. And then to motivate my team, we had a little bit of friendly competition to see who could be a top walker first, raising $1,000 or more. And then it turned into, okay, who can raise $2,000 or more? And sharing every 2 weeks, I would send an email to my team, kind of letting them know where we stood in the rankings within the Johns Hopkins Health System, within my hospital, and then just where we stood as a team compared to previous years. And it really motivated people to want to try harder. And it was, again, a little difficult this year, being in the middle of a pandemic and trying to reach out to people and asking for funds. The Greater Maryland Heart Walk, like a lot of walks across the country, was a digital experience this year. So we really look forward to an in-person event and really, the camaraderie of being around hundreds and thousands of people, just all with that shared love for the mission of the AHA. So this year, we also were motivated by doing our own little walk in a location that was special to my family. And we were able to do a 1 or 2 mile loop, and we still had that camaraderie, and we're able to share those photos and images with our donors to let them know that, we were still taking this as a serious fundraising effort, and we were still supporting the mission of the AHA and the Greater Maryland Heart Walk.
I love that. I've often said there's nothing quite like the magic of when you come to these big events and seeing all these people united in purpose. And I love the creative way that you brought that purpose back by sharing the photos and personalizing where you were walking and sharing that. I love that. Very, very powerful. Megan, I know your company, Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Centers, really bought into ensuring success. During this time, what are some of the changes that you've made internally to your fundraising efforts?
Sure. We do a lot of wraparound fundraising. So it's all year round, where we're doing restaurant nights or paint nights, or, we couldn't do that this year. So we had to get a little bit more creative and do things virtually, and kind of take a look at what our connections were, what our resources were. We continue to have coin boxes throughout the medical center and some of our retail locations. So people who had spare change should, of course, drop a few quarters or dimes into the box. But we also sold face masks, customized face masks that said, Hopkins, Greater Maryland Heart Walk. So people were, face masks are a hot accessory these days. Right. So people wanted them. We managed to sell old T-shirts from previous Heart Walks that brought in a lot of money. Just really trying to think of new ways and incentives to get people to be engaged. And we created some incentives that were more internal for the employees, where if they raised a certain amount of money, they would be entered into a raffle for gift cards to local restaurants, or for a rewards program that the hospital offers where you can purchase branded items. So they would receive some points for that. So really trying to think about what was available to us and how we could make that work while also trying to be successful as a campaign. And I think we did pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say so. Really, really impressive. So first, thank you for all that you've done for the American Heart Association. I hope you'll convey to the whole family back at the hospital how thankful we are for what they're doing for their community frontline right now during the pandemic. And then, of course, thinking of them in their support of the AHA. So thank you. You're incredible, and we wish you the very best luck this year.
Thank you.
So hearing from Megan is a great reminder that there are many potential top walkers among us. So many people are impacted by heart disease and stroke. We've heard that throughout our time together today. We encourage all of our coaches to find these passionate individuals who, by sharing their own stories, are able to advocate for the mission of the American Heart Association in incredibly meaningful ways. So, who is ready to see more Heart Walk hero gear? Let's get back to the catwalk. Our final runway, for our final front runway, we are spotlighting Adricia, a company leader from Pennsylvania. Peter is coming to us from California in his first year as a Heart Walk coach, helped raise over $32,000. Pretty impressive, Peter. Last but certainly not least, we have Carter, a congenital heart defect survivor with his mom, Molly, and dad, Kelly, coming all the way from South Carolina. Okay, Carter, it's time for your turn on the catwalk. Way to rock that runway. All of you, Carter, Kelly, Molly, Adricia, and Peter, I really like your outfit. You definitely have the moves down. Thank you all for being models. And who knew it? Heart heroes do wear capes. So what was your favorite Heart Hero gear? Feel free to share it with us in the chat. We want to make sure that that is definitely back in the Reward Center next year. We're going to head to the Buckeye State and hear from two very special Heart Heroes. 19-year-old Caden and his mom, Roberta. Caden, the youngest of 5 kids, was born with a congenital heart defect. Like most families weathering this journey, the Bond family is bonded stronger than ever, pulling together and supporting each other every step of the way. Thank you for being with us today. Caden, Roberta, good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Roberta, let's start with you. Heart disease has had a significant impact on your family. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, over 19 years ago, we actually was from Missouri, and we drove here for a job transfer while I was pregnant with Caden. So we were unaware of any situation until after I had given birth. So we'd only lived in Ohio for 6 weeks. And lo and behold, when he was just a few hours old, Cincinnati Children's Hospital came over and met us and let us know that there was something wrong with his heart. When he was 3 days old, they did his very first open heart surgery. And then Caden has actually gone through 3 open heart surgeries, a couple pacemakers, multiple other surgeries and procedures through the process.
Wow, it's an unbelievable journey. And for it to start right out of the gate, what scary words to hear from your doctor. Caden, let's hear from you. Share with us how you feel about your family's support through all of these years. How have they encouraged you really throughout your whole life?
I've been very grateful for them and their support. Let's see. I love enjoying family time with them and everything.
Yeah.
I have a 1-year-old nephew. Sorry.
No, that's great. That's great. How's it? How's having the nephew? Getting to be an uncle's a pretty cool chapter of life, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, I can tell your family means a lot to you, and having 4 other siblings, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of support. I know that's meant a lot. Roberta, how did you and your family first hear about the American Heart Association?
Actually, I heard when Caden was just a baby. He was probably about 9 months old, and I was in a support group with Cincinnati Children's Hospital. And one of the coaches at the time was just like, hey, do you want to join just for a walk? And she actually made posters for all of us that had surviving heart children that we could walk with the posters. So I actually got my 2 older kids at the time to walk with me on our very first walk.
It's pretty incredible. Caden, I bet that there are a lot of families watching this right now with really small kids with congenital heart defects. We've seen some of them in the fashion videos today, and they're all dreaming about one day when they see their kids turn 18, 19 years old. And so a question for you, how are you feeling today? Give these parents a preview when their kids get to be your age, how you're feeling, and maybe talk to us about what you're enjoying these days and what you're up to.
Excuse me. I'm doing great. I like bike riding. I am in college to become a barber. I love playing cards with the family and everything. So I feel great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Maybe you can help our friend John at GE with his perm this year. So we'll go back to that, okay? And we'll make sure he's in good professional hands with you. I'm a biker too, so I enjoy that. Not so much this time of year, but maybe a few more weeks in the spring. That's the best time. Roberta, anything you'd like to add?
I just want people to know that this changes everything and everyone. And with Caden being one of 5 children, because of our situation and what we've gone through, it has taught his brother and sisters agape love. And that means just to love unconditionally, knowing that you're going to potentially lose out. And so as we've gone through this journey and watched all of us grow and to be healthier people by the American Heart Association, just because it's encouraged all of us to get out and walk and to participate. And I had shared this before, was when I started doing this 19 years ago, I just started walking. And then one day I decided to do a 5K. And a couple years ago, I decided to do a half marathon. And it's all thanks to American Heart Association and just trying to stay healthy, not only for myself, but for the family.
Roberta, Caden, I know it is not easy to tell these stories and to open up. It's not easy to get on camera in front of strangers and talk about all of this, but you did a great job, and we're so thankful for your courage, and we'll be thinking about you this year and moving on. Take care of yourselves. You are both an inspiration, and we thank you for being a part of our program today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're in the home stretch now, but before we go, let's talk about how together we're going to get 1 million people moving in 2021. We're excited to announce our 2021 Move More Challenge that each and every one of you and your coworkers, family, and friends get to be a part of this year through the Heart Walk. Our goal is to inspire everyone who is registered to achieve at least 150 minutes of activity a week for the 30 days prior to your local event date. Those who do will even earn the prestigious 600 Minutes of Activity Challenge badge. 30 days prior to your event date, we will kick off this activity challenge with all registered walkers, and it is so easy. The actual activity tracker is located inside your Heart Walk app, where all good things happen, to make it convenient for everyone. You'll see leaderboards on the Heart Walk website starting 30 days prior to your event date. You'll be able to see your personal rankings, your team rankings, and even your company rankings, all in the Heart Walk app. How does it work, and how does it connect to my current wearable? Well, your activity will be recorded in the Heart Walk app simply by hitting the start button. entering it in manually, or syncing your device with Google Fit, Apple Health, or Strava. The HeartWalk app really does have it all. What are you waiting for? Register for the walk and then download the app today to get your fundraising started. And then 30 days before your event, the activity tracker will show up in your app and you will begin the Move More Challenge. We cannot wait to see who gets moving first. Another new addition this year as part of our HeartWalk experience is, drum roll please, HeartWalk Wednesdays. You'll hear a lot about this. As you know, the HeartWalk has always been bigger than just one day. Your team bonds together over the months and weeks leading up to your event, and that hasn't changed. To keep your team as connected as ever, we've created HeartWalk Wednesday. So each Wednesday in the 4 weeks leading up to your HeartWalk day, companies and teams have an opportunity through turnkey tools to inspire both fundraising and physical activity through our Move More Challenge. The goal is to give your walkers simple actions every Wednesday over 30 days to get a step ahead and remain connected. Combining the Move More Challenge with HeartWalk Wednesdays gives you an important opportunity to create fun challenges and recognize achievements to spur on engagement, physical activity, and of course, overall fundraising. Now, let's get started. To register, recruit, and rally, what better time than February with American Heart Month kicking off to register, recruit your walkers, and rally to ask for critical funds on behalf of the American Heart Association, all while raising awareness. Your first step, if you haven't already, is to register today for your local Heart Walk. It's easy. Go to heartwalk.org to register today and then download the HeartWalk app. Your local HA staff are also ready to help answer any questions you have. Once you're registered, share your story. As you've heard throughout today's call, make it personal during Heart Month by personalizing your fundraising page, and then make sure your family, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers know how they can donate to support your efforts and join your team. Recruit, recruit, recruit. Company leaders, let's recruit your coaches in time for Heart Month. We know our most successful teams have multiple coaches to personally invite everyone to participate. I say divide and conquer. To our coaches, recruit at least 10 walkers per team. Find at least one person who could be a top walker among them. I don't think you'll have any trouble finding just one. As you heard from Megan, many people you work with or your friends have been impacted by heart disease and stroke. And like Megan, this could even be you. Start a Facebook fundraiser and unlock a whole new world of donors that you never knew would donate. It's the best feeling in the world when a friend from your past reaches out and donates and supports your team. It's the best feeling. In February, rally your teams, bring them together in Heart Month to talk about this year's campaign and begin connecting now. With so many people still working from home, this will be a welcomed experience. Trust me, everyone's going to be excited to be talking about something else and connecting. And of course, don't forget to wear red, just like my jacket here on Friday, February 5th, National Wear Red Day. That's next Friday. The American Heart Association's mission is more relevant than ever, and our work is so critical. Your support of the Heart Walk goes a long way in helping those touched by heart disease and stroke. From the bottom of our hearts, we are grateful for you walking alongside us to support the AHA's work, helping everyone, everywhere, live longer, healthier lives. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting us. And thank you for sharing your story so others can be supported and inspired by your success. Together, we are at the heart that keeps the AHA beating. Thank you.